Of Buying Sandlot. Today, we're joined by two leaders helping shape the future of club baseball. Jack Cressend, founder of Knation, and Tyler Naquin, director of baseball operations. Knights has built one of the most successful club baseball organizations for nearly 2 decades. They've produced more than 1,000 college players, over 100 MLB draft picks, and have a growing network of programs across the South. During the episode, they announced a new partnership with Curve Sports, discuss what the future of club baseball looks like, how data is changing recruiting, and why relationships still matter. But before we get into the episode, we want to thank Blackmagic Design Cameras for sponsoring it. Listen, filming youth sports has come a long way. Organizations can now create new revenue streams from live broadcasts using the same products as professional teams. A hockey club in Michigan can use the same camera that the NHL uses behind the goal, and a baseball facility in California can afford the same cameras Disney used to shoot the latest Marvel movie. That's all thanks to Blackmagic Design, who makes it possible. Whether you're a sports facility, club, school, or coach, Blackmagic Design allows high quality, affordable, and easy to learn multi-camera streaming and filming. Check out their studio cameras, production switchers, DaVinci Resolve editing and replay tools, and the Blackmagic Camera app on iPhone and Android. For more information, please go to blackmagicdesign.com. And now, let's get into the show. I'm here with Jack Cressend, founder of Knation Baseball, and Tyler Naquin, the director of baseball ops. Fellas, thanks for joining us. Jack, we'll go to you first. You have an announcement you want to make with Curve Sports, and talk about how Curve Sports and this partnership with Knation Baseball will help out.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us on. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you. But yeah, we're super excited about our partnership with Curve. It was a long process, talking with those guys over the last, really 18 to 24 months. And what became very clear early on was just that our visions kind of aligned for what we're trying to accomplish and what Curve was trying to accomplish. And so, yeah, just super appreciative of, the opportunity to work with Curve and the entire team, and just looking forward to, the thought process behind the whole thing was just, what will this do for our organization? And we felt it would position us to continue to exist at a high level for the next, 20 years. And that was ultimately what was behind the decision.
Yeah, I mean, you sent 1,000 kids to college, 100+ draft picks. I mean, you have the accolades. You obviously are doing something that's working over there. What is it about Curve Sports, their investment, the tech, the player development? What is it about that's taking you guys to like that next level, and why you thought this partnership was the right one?
Yeah, well, I think, for our organization since, 2007 when we started, it was, we've always tried to prioritize our players first. I mean, that's been our internal approach from day one. And, what's best for our players, and ultimately prioritizing people. And then here we are today, 20 years later. So I think the opportunity with Curve, I think first and foremost was like we were drawn to the people first, and the vision that they have for where we're going in this space was just super attractive for us. When you pour your heart and soul into something for 20 years, it's personal, and it's kind of part of who you are, and what you stand for. And so we certainly didn't take it lightly, but just felt very strongly with their infrastructure, technology, team, what we're doing, moving forward with other programs, the opportunity to collaborate with other like-minded programs was super attractive for us. And, a lot of times when you're in this space and you're running an organization, a lot of times you feel kind of like out on an island, by yourself, and you're competing against everybody. And it's a very competitive space. And so the opportunity to kind of create this team of like-minded organizations across the country, and, with the leadership of Curve and, Sandy and Matt and the entire team, it just was something we felt strongly about and wanted to be part of.
Now, you did mention you're collabing with like-minded programs. We have talked to the guys at P2P up in the north. We've talked to guys at Power Baseball and stuff. What does that collab look like between different clubs that are maybe under the curve model?
Yeah, well, I just think now you have teammates. Typically in this space, you're competing with really everybody, and yeah, you're certainly friendly with organizations. But I think when you are able to truly come together and be on the same team, so now conversations with Power and P2P and other partners that will be coming on board soon. For us to be able to sit in the same room and truly collaborate on what's working for them, what's not working. What their development approach is, and what are some things they're doing that that is working at a high level. I just think it's creates a unique opportunity for all of us to share ideas and figure out how to help each other. So again, just kind of being on that team was something we were super excited about.
Yeah, so you're not on that island anymore. You guys can
That's
collaborate with
right.
each other. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Um, you already have clubs in Louisiana, Texas, Florida, California. I know there's more that I'm probably forgetting. Any plans to expand with this new investment, this new partnership? Any new facilities? I know you have the compound, and I forget the other one. Forgive me.
The
And
castle.
the castle, yeah. And any new sports coming down the pike?
Well, I think our growth approach has always just been try to let it happen organically with the right people, and it's not something we've really sought out or tried to force growth or anything like that. And I think really that's what's made our program special. We've to most of our partnerships and affiliates are previous relationships with people through the game. I was fortunate to have a long playing career and something I cherish. And but what that did for me was help me build a network of people and relationships, and really just across the game. So almost all of our growth has been some part of a relationship that we've had, and we knew the person, and so it was pretty easy for us to to make that move into different areas. And so I think as we move forward, I mean, we're again, part of the Curve mission is to bring like-minded orgs together and work together. So we certainly have some folks we want to talk to try to get on our team. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's the growth is driven by partnership, and I think that's the overwhelming message is just partnering with other folks, and and obviously the Curve slogan being stronger together is truly we truly believe in that. So
Talk to me about, is it the LAK program? Do you call it the LAC program? What do you call it?
LAK.
LAK. Okay. So talk more about the LAK program. You guys partner with high schools and coaching staffs. What's the strategy behind that?
It's pretty simple for us with our LAK partnership program. It's mainly about relationships. So a lot of our coaches in our high school program are obviously high school coaches, and so along the way, you build relationships with these guys, and wanting to help them and support their programs, and just do it together. I think that's the overwhelming theme here is doing things together. But yeah, we just we support. We have, I think it's 12 now, 12 partnership programs at the high school level, and we help them facilitate their summer school program, which typically is 4 or 5 weeks, usually the month of June, and we just help them facilitate that program. A lot of these high school coaches are super focused on their spring, trying to win state championships, and we've seen that where summer just sneaks up on them, which is understandable. And so we're trying to help them on the front end, make sure they're prepared for the summer, take a lot of that stuff, admin stuff off their plate, and just basically make it a seamless transition for them from their spring to summer. And it's been great. We have great partners, great guys that we work with, and ultimately, of course, there's gives us opportunities to work with their players as well within the Knights program in the summer and fall. So it's been a great thing for us, but it's mainly been a relationship driven approach there.
So you have the partnerships with the schools and everything. You obviously have over 12,000 square feet of facility and stuff. We talked to the guys at Power. I believe they partner with an academy, and then P2P. They've talked about potentially academy down the line and everything. Another academy called TPH, which is hockey. Hockey, they do a little bit other more than hockey, but total package hockey. 22 locations around the country. They kind of more plug and play into facilities and everything. Is there anything down the line that you guys think like, hey, you're focusing on summer right now and helping out the coaches there? Is there anything you're thinking about from maybe a school model, just plugging right into the facility since you kind of have the bones already?
Yeah, I think it's certainly something we're talking about and considering. It's something in our area that we haven't really seen before, in Louisiana with the academy model. But we certainly think it serves a great purpose and has great value for certain athletes. And yeah, it's something we're definitely talking about that. And again, as part of the Curve initiative, being partners with them will allow something like that to actually happen. I don't think that's something we could have done by ourselves. So, again, another exciting possibility now that we're on the Curve team.
Tyler, I want to ask you. I know director of baseball ops. Obviously, you're also a coach and everything over there on the ground floor and everything, dealing with the player development, dealing with the kids and everything. But what are the parents talking to you about? What are they when they're coming to Knights Nation? What is like the one thing you feel like you're always having a conversation with them that they're looking for at Knights and why they come to Knights?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in our industry, in our summer landscape, it's important. Our main mission is do what's best for the players. And I think throughout separate times or different times as things change throughout the college game, we see some things changing in the pro game right now and how that affects high school guys. I think Jack hit on two messages. It's organic and partnerships. And I think that's something that we really stress to our players, that we're keeping up with trends. We're not trying to force things to happen a certain way because it may benefit the Knights in a certain way. We're looking to do things that are best for the players and keeping up with trends because we're doing things organically and partnering with the right people who are going through the same thing. So we really drive home the message that not only is this a partnership between us as players, families, and as an organization, but we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing, and it's done at a high level. Our expectations from a management staff is very detailed. If we're talking to players about recruiting and things like that, we're keeping up with all the details of it, all the messages that we receive from college coaches, staying in touch with those guys. We're making sure that we collect all that information and we keep it in our database. This isn't just a pay-to-play organization. There's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes, and those are the things that we're really pushing to our families. And it's been pretty awesome as they get into our organization. They can see the things that, yeah, we may show up to play tournaments Thursday through Sunday, or some of the bigger events may be a week long. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of communication between us, the players, and the families in between, and how we're really focusing on their development as a player and as a human being, and how we're keeping up with their expectations, what's their goals. We tell players all the time, you have to have a why. If you're going to go and your family's going to invest this time and this money for you to play beyond your high school season, it's important that you have your whys. And we want to make sure that on our end, we're aligning with their why as well. And we're keeping up with the details. So once the players get in to the organization, especially when they get to the upperclassmen and we start talking about recruiting, and maybe for some of our guys, the pro scouting element and some of the events outside that they may need to attend, they really see that we're working for these guys behind the scenes, not just Thursday through Sunday within the events.
This one could be for either of you. How important is it? You've mentioned network a couple times. Obviously, your alumni base is huge, and I know on your website you guys have mentioned that. I think it's for life is the slogan there. That Knights for life and everything. How important is it to have that kind of recruiting database of these 1,000 college kids that have played, these hundreds of draft picks that have played, that have come back? I mean, you guys are like basically have a database on your website. You're showing your book in a way about, it's not just, wins and losses. It's also about exposure and getting these kids recruiting and getting these kids to the next level. And you guys done that in spades and everything. So do you think that's kind of like a moat that you guys have built around Knights Nation, especially in the South, being like, hey, we walk the walk and we could talk the talk? How important is that? Whoever wants to take that.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think that, us staying in communication and for life truly is something that we firmly believe in, whether it be our guys going off to college, obviously a big part of the game in today's world. We have our guys who are going to junior college and looking for homes. And then we have our guys who may end up at 4 years. And for one reason or another, a transfer may make sense for those guys. I think it's extremely important. I think we do a really good job of staying in touch with our guys. And more importantly, those guys know they feel comfortable. They trust in that for life mentality that we've kind of preached to those guys. They call us when they need help. And it's something, like we said, we're going to be on the phone every single week. Our recruiting team will be on the phone with at least 20 to 30 college coaches, anywhere from the junior college all the way to the Power 4 level. It's really important, and it's leverage for us. It's important. That's what those college coaches are looking for as well. Hey, not only can you help us in the high school element, but you can also help us in the transfer element or getting a guy out of junior college. So it's kind of leverage for us as an organization as well. I may get a call from a Division I in South Carolina about, hey, I need to replace an arm in the transfer portal. Within that communication, it allows us to also talk about, hey, I've got a 2027 right now that I think may be a good fit. So we're talking about short-term fixes and long-term fixes with these guys. It's just leverage our database of players who may need our assistance. It allows us to open up communication, and us having real conversations with these colleges. It kind of helps with our legitimacy in what we're doing with these guys, and they believe that the messages are the information that we're giving these colleges.
And I'm sure, Jack, did you have something? Sorry.
No, yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, the 4L, for life, approach that we have tried to build our program on, it signifies that it is bigger than baseball. Obviously baseball is kind of our vehicle, but, at the end of the day, we're developing future leaders, teammates, young men, fathers, long after the game is over. And I think for us, the for life just signifies that. And, the relationship piece with our families. And, while we, of course, just naturally along the way, you get to know some families better than others. And, a program of our size, it's, I think one of the hardest part is maybe not having that like close relationship with every single family. It's just hard with the size of our program. But at the end of the day, those relationships are what really matters. And we want our players to know that they're supported long after their playing days. And what's been awesome is to see former players come back and coach for us, former players come back and kind of work in the office. That just really brings it full circle. You've watched some of these kids grow up since 8, 9 years old, and then now they're part of the staff, and that is extremely rewarding. So, I mean, obviously the college commitments, the draft picks, the major league players and debuts, and all that excitement, which is so cool. I think the relationships and seeing these young men become successful is what never gets old, and it's something that drives us every day. So, and I'll give you a quick example. Just the other day, just was thinking about Connor Griffin, and sent Connor a quick text. Didn't think he would reply. I mean, he's in the middle of the season and rehabbing right now, and he'll be back in a little bit. But I just said, hey man, thinking about you. Just wanted to say hello. And he replied back, and the fact that they'll reply says a lot. So it's just those kind of moments that are never get old.
Yeah. No, it's a testament to what you guys are building over there and how much you guys are affecting people, at the formidable years of their lives and everything. I think it's also like that network of affiliates that you guys have built. It's so important. Tyler was talking about it. It's like, hey, I need a 20-year-old, lefty. All right, I got someone in my network and stuff, as you guys touch in Dallas or Texas, California, Florida, Louisiana, all that stuff. You just built that network. And I want to talk about that affiliate network you guys have built. Are these franchises?
Yeah. So the way that we've set it up is initially when we were starting to grow, we basically tried to position these affiliates really so that they could be successful and really get off the ground without having to have any sort of limitations. And so we've tried to basically formulate our partnership with our affiliates to be very favorable for the affiliates, where we can work together and support each other. But ultimately, they run their operation day to day, kind of within the guidelines that our organization, sets. But yeah, so in theory, you could certainly say that it's in some respects a franchise model. But we also have, what we call organizational controlled areas as well. So like in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and in New Orleans, Louisiana, those affiliates, we're operating those day to day from our home office. And but yes, our other affiliates that are spread out all over are led by directors, and we work directly with them, on a week to week basis and support them.
Yeah, I want to dive into the franchise affiliate network model more. Feel free to give whatever you can give. If you can't totally understand, whatever you're comfortable with. We have a lot of operators in our network and stuff. Is there a cost to start a franchise with Knights? Why do you think the franchise model is better than outright owning the team? And how do you maintain the coaching quality across multiple states? I know I threw a lot at you, so feel free to whoever wants to take that.
Yeah, I'll touch on a couple of those things. So no, there's certainly no startup sort of costs with us. If someone was interested in partnering with us, again, we would just have a series of conversations, meetings, discussions, and make sure that our visions align and what we're trying to accomplish with our young players. Typically speaking, our affiliates have been more on the youth side, so the ages 7 through 13, and so obviously at that age group, it's very important that the vision that we have for Knights Nation is shared, with a potential affiliate director. So again, it's more initially, it's just building a trust and making sure that we both are chasing the same thing, and that's the main thing. So just from that standpoint, again, we try to structure it where it is very favorable for a potential partner, knowing that it's not a short-term relationship we're looking for. We're looking for a long-term relationship. So the key is getting that affiliate off the ground and successful, first and foremost. So Tyler, did you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I think just kind of to touch on what Jack said is it kind of goes back to our mission. It's organic growth and partnerships. People who share the same mission. I think it goes back to our database of players, coaches, and connections we have in industry, people that we trust in. It may not be somebody that we know, but we probably know the same people. And it goes back to sharing the same mission. That's how we build these partnerships, is people who are in this for the reasons for the players first. This is for the players first and want to do things organically. And it makes those partnerships extremely simple for us to work and align and work together through those things.
And then how do you maintain coaching quality across multiple states?
Yeah, I think that's a tremendous challenge. I think, and it's something we see here within our local area that we run our high school program and, and our several of our youth affiliates is, coaching. Coaching is extremely important, and it is definitely a challenge. I think we try to, empower our directors to make those decisions. And certainly we have, certain qualities and characteristics that we're hopeful that our coaches will have. It's certainly not a perfect process, and sometimes you don't get it right, and when you don't, you've just got to adjust. But I think that's a tremendous challenge. I think it's important to communicate well with our directors on the standards we're trying to uphold. You see a lot of, because the last thing you ever want is your organization end up on Instagram with some of these crazy moments that have been kind of viral here over seems like the last 6 weeks. Those incidents are certainly isolated. Social media wants to make it seem like they're common. They're not common, but obviously that's the worst thing that could ever happen to an organization, is to have something like that. But Yeah, it's a challenge for us, something we work at every day, and continue to look for ways to do it better. And I mean, obviously, we do background checks and that sort of stuff. And it's not something we just would throw anybody into a coaching role. It would have to be something we're comfortable with on the front end. So,
And the curve test centers will be deployed throughout all the affiliates, I'm guessing.
yeah, so we're working on that. Obviously, just having officially had our partnership final on like June 2nd, I believe. So now we're working, with the Curve team to start planning the testing centers and the whole testing process and protocols that we'll be able to provide to our families. So and players. So we're excited about that, and that's in the beginning stages of. We're starting to plan on kind of what the next 100 days look like, and starting to implement some of the resources that the Curve Sports platform can provide us.
Talk about why the data is so important. We talk about verified data all the time. I mean, the college recruiting, landscape is upended every single year. It feels like the age thing they're going through right now. There's 2 bills in Washington. Who knows what's going to happen there and everything. But let's just dial in on the data and why is it important, and why is Curve the right testing model to provide that data?
I think the data is a way to challenge guys. It's a way to see kind of where the threshold is as to where they stand currently. I think it's an awesome way for those guys to see what they do extremely well in certain challenges that they may have, things that may not come so naturally for them. So what they're working on, I think that if given with the right kind of plan behind it, it's an opportunity for guys to come up with a high detail plan of work of how they're going to become a better competitor. I think at times that sometimes the data, we get too data driven and guys don't know what to do with the information, right? We tell guys all the time, I think that's just a threshold, and that kind of aligns you with where you're headed or the things that you need to work on. So it all gives the information that we need to be the best version of ourselves, the best competitor, and show up and win the game between the lines. I think it's an awesome opportunity for these guys to come in and, like I said, see what their efficiencies are, maybe some of their deficiencies, and what's the plan of action. How are we going to attack those things? Now, not just kind of, hey, show up at the show and tell day and see where we stand and kind of leave it at that. Okay, I need to work on this. Well, what's the plan of action? I think that's the great thing about the test centers. It's such high detailed information that they're receiving and protocol that they're going through. There's going to be a plan of action behind it. How do we improve? How do we enhance the things we're really good at? How do we showcase the things that we're really good at? But how do we also take our deficiencies and how do we improve upon those things as well? And to all we're chasing is to be the best competitor on the field and find a way to win the scoreboard.
And then when you're going through this and you're talking to college coaches and everything, MLB scouts as well, what are they really honing in on? Like, what from a data perspective? Like when you're looking, when someone's going D1, D2, D3, JUCO, what are these college coaches looking for in terms of like that data? Like it could be exit velo, it could be something that just imagine that a high school parent is listening to this and they're interested in Knights Nation and getting their kid in there. What are the college coaches looking at right now in the recruiting space?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just offer a couple quick thoughts on that. I mean, I certainly think, data and that sort of information that you can provide a player is super helpful. I mean, it's feedback. It kind of lets them know where they are. And then you can also track progress with data. If it's 6 months ago you were here, but now you're here, it shows tangible improvement over time. So I think in certain situations it can be extremely, extremely valuable. And it does kind of standardize, when you're using the same testing on all your athletes, it can kind of standardize that process across, all ages. But I think in the recruiting world, yes, the data is almost kind of like step one. And I think when college coaches, and Tyler could speak to this in greater detail, but I think college coaches are really wanting to know more about the person, wanting to know about the intangibles. What kind of teammate are they? What's their work ethic? How tough are they? What's their family like? What's what kind of student is he? Having been on the other side of this as a college coach for 4 years previously, and then now working in the on the professional side and scouting, the intangibles are things that are hard to identify on the field. A lot of times, we can look at the data and we have all the numbers and the metrics on every player, and that's great. But at the end of the day, data doesn't win ball games; players do, and so we gotta know what the player is. Who is he? The who a lot of times is more important than the what. And I think that's something we try to focus on as well inside of the Knights. But it's something I've learned a lot about with the Dodgers is that the who, who's the person that we're possibly selecting or choosing, and you want to be able to combine that physical stuff and the data, and all those things that give us, okay, that's the player, but who's the person, who are we getting, and what's this guy about? And so anyway, I think that's the things we try to balance, and I think college coaches lean on us to tell us a lot about those intangibles.
Tyler, I'd like to hear from you in a second, but I do want to just press on that a little bit. Has that shifted in the last maybe decade, 5 years, or has that kind of always been? Because you come at it from a very interesting perspective, a college coach. You also do some draft prep with the Dodgers and everything. You're running your own facility. How has the trend shifted in any way, or are you seeing anything?
Well, I think the trend has been this more prevalence on data and tracking all the things that we're tracking, right? Exit velocity, just ball flight, spin rates, etc. Like we could speak on that for an hour, but I think you're seeing more and more of those of that data being captured at different showcase events or in training facilities, and I think it's much more prevalent today than it was maybe 10 years ago. But I think the folks that are still hanging on to those intangibles being the separator or the ultimate decider as to whether you're going to take a player, I think is those are the ones that are winning. Because the data sometimes can trick you. There's guys that can do it in a training facility or in a controlled environment, but when you step across the white lines, it's a whole different ball game. And I think we try to remind our players and families, just how difficult this game is. It's a very hard game. It looks really easy from the seats, from the stands, but when you cross those white lines, it's very difficult. So I think for us as an organization to be able to keep all of that in perspective for our players and to educate our families on, hey, it's when you go 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, it's okay. Like it's okay. It's not a deal breaker. It's fine. It's a tough game. So we got to keep going. But I just think, again, you go back to the who. I'm a huge believer in the who is more important than the what.
Tyler, anything you want to add on the data piece I was talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the coolest things that I've seen in kind of our new trend with the portal and the NIL is I think that every school has had to get unique in what player fits their program the most. At what age, what system do they come from? And at some point, that's what data. Some of the top programs that I've seen at every level of college baseball have come up with some sort of calculated system. They want to see there's certain data that's important to them. For example, pitching, maybe different spin rates, maybe the way they move the baseball. How are they going to win the baseball? It all goes back to what Jack's talking about. They're just collecting data in how they're going to pick the right individual that's going to help them in their atmosphere at their individual school and how they win baseball games. It's all going to go back to it's kind of a mesh between a box score and data. Like, how does that guy compete on the field? How does he handle adversity? How does he handle success in taking that data that they may collect, whether it be in a facility or more important at certain parks where they can collect data? How does that player fit within their calculated system? And they can kind of rank their recruiting system based off of that.
And then a couple more for you guys, and I'll get you out of here. How does this new investment, how does this new partnership, how does this help with, promoting accessibility and affordability for Nice Nation? I know you guys are part of the Marucci squad. I know we talked to Power. They have the Power Foundation and stuff, which helps registration fees and other stuff. How do you think this investment helps, your guys' kind of accessibility down there at nights?
Well, I think we have always tried to be extremely fair and try to provide everything we can for as little as possible. Obviously having a big team of people that are working for our players, that just goes with playing and participating in a nationally recognized program. Obviously, there's cost associated with it, but we've certainly kept an eye on it. I think the partnership with Curve, and as we grow together under the Curve platform, I think we're going to be able to do things together. And I think it's one of the things I'm probably most excited about on the competitive side, where we can do things together regionally and locally, which will cut down on a lot of I think the big travel, where we're sending our families out of town for 7-8 nights and playing in a tournament for that length of time. That gets very expensive. And so looking for just alternatives to that and be able to, maybe cut down those nights, but still achieve the same thing on the field. So making it, in that respect, cheaper on travel. Big thing that I don't think gets talked about enough in these tournaments is gate fees. Families having to pay to get into a facility to watch their kid play. A lot of times a time limit baseball game, So I think some of the things we've been talking about is, again, the partnerships, the collaboration amongst like-minded programs where, we can get together and play, maybe a 6-team event pretty locally or regionally and, play 6 and 7 inning games and have no gate fee. And that makes it better for our families from a cost standpoint. It also will help us to play more baseball and better baseball in a shorter amount of time. So it's kind of a win-win across all levels as we move forward. And so to me, those are just a few of the things that I think the Curve platform will allow us to do. Again, the partnership is powerful, and we're just super excited to get going with this and make it happen for our families.
Yeah, last one for you. Travel teams are evolving into platforms that can now scale. Curve consolidating the fragmented market of youth baseball. What does all this look like in 5? What does all this look like, you think, in 10 years? I thought your answer was very interesting with, cutting down on travel. From what we've heard, from what we've talked about, it's like different subsets of youth baseball right now, different ages and stuff. Some like to travel, some are kind of pushing back on travel. Where do you see this, though, look like in 5, maybe 10 years?
Yeah, I personally think that you'll see more groups trying to come together and collaborate. I think San Diego was kind of a genius in that setting this up and looking at this thing out into the future and what needed to be done today to make it better. And obviously we're aligned in that. But I think you'll see bigger partnerships out there in 5 to 10 years. I think you'll see a lot of new, different ways to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish on the competitive side, and especially in the tournament side of things. And I think you're going to see a better environment, honestly, because I think more and more as the partnership side of this thing and the relationships with other organizations become more and more important, I just think it makes it for just a better environment overall. So I know for us, we don't want to be the biggest. We want to be the best at, developing players and providing opportunities for our kids and, ultimately creating great experiences for our families. And so that's our mission. That's our goal. And, for us, we're just excited to keep going.
Tyler, I can give you the last word if you want to add anything onto that.
Yeah, I think Jack hit on a lot of it. I think the biggest thing for me is, like he said, the partnership between organizations who are aligning with their goals and the why players play. It's for development and exposure. And there are things we can come up with tactical plans to play more regional competition with other organizations and our organization as a whole, where we can stay more regional. And then when we have to travel and leave town, it feels more tactical for everybody involved, where we can help families make these decisions as to what makes the most sense. So us kind of partnering and with multiple organizations under one umbrella to do things and have the most tactical plan for these players in both their development and the exposure.
Awesome. Well, fellas, I really appreciate you coming on. Congrats on the partnership with Curve. We'll be following along. Good luck with everything, and we hope for the best. I know we're in the summer, but as the summer goes forward and stuff for Knights Nation.
Thank you so much. Appreciate all you guys do.